What if the lack you feel in your life has never been about money itself, but about the identity you carry in silence? You look at your bank account, you feel the weight of bills, you wonder why manifestation seems to work for others but not for you. Yet beneath all of that is a simple truth Neville Goddard whispered over and over. Wealth does not begin in the numbers on a screen. It begins in the invisible assumption of who you are. The mind that already is rich, regardless of appearances, cannot help but attract wealth. The mind that clings to lack, no matter how hard it tries, continues to repel it. Maybe you've noticed this paradox in your own journey. You repeat affirmations, you listen to teachings, you meditate, and for a moment your faith feels strong. But then the doubts return. The old voice that says, "It never works for me." The hidden program you don't even realize is running, keeps pulling you back into fear and scarcity. It isn't because you are broken, or because manifestation is an illusion. It is because the words you repeat do not yet match the identity you feel. You are trying to pour new wine into an old vessel, and the subconscious rejects it as a lie. Science confirms what mystics like Neville always knew. As Bruce Lipton reminds us, your subconscious mind is like a tape recorder. It plays back what was imprinted years ago, family beliefs, cultural stories, emotional scars, and it does so without judgment. If your inner tape says, "Money is hard, money is dangerous, money is for others," then no matter how often you affirm, "I am rich," the subconscious will choose the older recording. And because the subconscious governs 95% of your daily actions and perceptions, it is always the old program that wins, unless you learn how to retrain it. This is why so many feel stuck. Not because they lack willpower, not because they don't try enough, but because they speak words that the brain cannot yet believe. Imagine telling yourself, "I am abundant," while in the pit of your stomach you are vibrating with fear about tomorrow. The body feels the contradiction. The nervous system registers the gap. And so, instead of creating attraction, your very effort reinforces separation. You think you are affirming wealth, but the hidden feeling is still poverty. That is why in this journey we are about to walk together, I will not ask you to chase money. I will not ask you to repeat phrases mindlessly, hoping they will suddenly make sense. Instead, I will show you how to speak words that touch the roots of your being, words that feel natural, words that bypass resistance because they are aligned with imagination, emotion, and biology. Words that do not float like empty promises but sink into your subconscious as living truth. So pause for a moment. Feel your breath. Let your chest rise and fall. Notice how even here, in the quiet, you can choose to carry yourself differently. In this stillness, the shift begins. For the next half hour, you are not just listening. You are retraining your brain. You are entering the place where identity changes and reality follows. And what you will discover is this. You don't need to chase wealth. You need to embody it. Because the secret has never been about saying the right words louder, longer, or with more force. It has always been about saying the words that your inner self can accept as already true. And when the words and the feeling align, the brain cannot resist. The subconscious rewrites itself, the energy field shifts, and life rearranges. This is the invitation of this teaching. To stop fighting with money as if it were outside of you, and to begin training your brain to accept that wealth is your natural state. In this video, you will uncover not only the exact words to use, but the inner stance that makes them real. And once you understand this, money will no longer be something you are waiting for. It will become the reflection of who you already are. Are you ready to begin? There is a reason why, no matter how much you try, your reality seems to echo the same financial struggles again and again. That reason is not fate, not punishment, and not lack of worth. It is the silent program you absorbed long before you ever chose what to believe. Families, schools, society, they all leave invisible imprints. Maybe you heard phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or, "We can't afford that." Maybe you saw the adults around you arguing about bills or worrying about debt. Without realizing it, those words became seeds planted deep inside, growing into a subconscious identity of scarcity. This hidden program is powerful because it doesn't only shape your thoughts, it shapes your biology. When the brain believes resources are scarce, it triggers survival circuits. Your nervous system enters a state of vigilance, scanning for danger instead of possibility. Creativity shuts down. Vision narrows. Decisions become reactive, not inspired. You may think you're making rational financial choices, but often you are simply obeying a fear-based script written years ago. It is not that you are lazy or unlucky. It is that your inner child learned to associate money with anxiety, and that memory still governs your adult reality. Notice how this shows up in your daily life. When you look at your account balance, does your body tense? When an unexpected bill arrives, does your heart sink before your mind even thinks? That is the program in action. The automatic loop telling your body, we don't have enough. But what if that reaction isn't truth, only conditioning? What if every anxious thought about money is simply the echo of someone else's belief that you unconsciously inherited? The way forward begins not by blaming the past, but by recognizing the script for what it is, a story that no longer serves you. Imagine holding those old phrases in your hands and realizing they were never yours to begin with. They were fragments of another generation's fears, passed down like heirlooms of limitation. And in this moment, you are free to return them. You are free to speak a different word. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and recall one of those phrases that shaped you. Hear it, feel the weight of it, then gently let it dissolve like smoke. Replace it with a phrase that affirms truth, not fear. Feel the difference in your body when you say, money flows to me with ease, compared to, we can't afford this. The shift is immediate because your nervous system listens to your words as commands. By speaking differently, you begin to rewire the very circuits that once kept you trapped. This is the first key, to recognize the poverty program running in the background and to choose a new language that nourishes the identity you desire. Every time you hear that old voice rise, you have a sacred choice: to repeat the past, or to breathe in a new assumption, to echo fear, or to embody wealth. The more consistently you choose the latter, the more your brain, your body, and your reality will align with abundance. There is a subtle but crucial truth that many seekers overlook. Words alone do not create. The mind may repeat sentences endlessly, but unless those words are clothed in feeling, they remain hollow. Neville Goddard called it the secret of the felt I am. Without the vibration of being, affirmations are no more than empty shells echoing through the subconscious without ever touching it. You can say, I am wealthy 1,000 times, but if in your chest there is fear, if in your stomach there is tightness, the body silently contradicts the statement, and the body always wins. This is why so many grow disillusioned with affirmations. They chant them daily, yet reality seems unmoved. The problem is not the phrase itself, but the state in which it is spoken. Words spoken from lack only amplify lack. To say, I am rich, while vibrating with doubt is like planting seeds in dry soil. They cannot take root. The subconscious mind is not persuaded by repetition alone. It responds to the energy that surrounds the word, the tone beneath the voice, the image that accompanies the sound. Pause for a moment and reflect on the difference between two states. Imagine speaking wealth while seeing only your debts. Then imagine speaking wealth while already feeling the warmth of financial ease, the comfort of knowing everything is taken care of. The same words, but two entirely different realities. One is rejected as false, the other is received as truth. The subconscious does not measure logic, it measures vibration. This is why Neville insisted on the power of imagination. Before the word is spoken, the inner scene must be felt. It is not about repeating a sentence until the universe listens. It is about entering the universe within, until your own being listens. When you pause, breathe, and see yourself already living the statement, the body shifts, your nervous system calms. The phrase stops being an intellectual demand and becomes a natural declaration. In that instant, the subconscious accepts it. You can sense the difference even now. Whisper in silence, I am wealthy, and notice how it lands. Then allow yourself to see an ordinary moment. Walking into a store, opening your wallet, sitting at a cafe, and feel what it would be like if money were never a question. Speak the same phrase again, this time from that inner picture. Do you notice how your body relaxes, how your chest expands, how the words feel more real? This is the secret most miss. The state makes the affirmation. Every time you speak from embodiment, you are not just saying words. You are engraving new instructions into the nervous system, new commands into the subconscious. Slowly, consistently, the old program of doubt weakens, and the new program of abundance takes root. This is the alchemy of the spoken word. It is not sound that transforms, but sound clothed in the vibration of being. When the words and the state unite, creation begins. Before we move on, take a breath. Let everything you've just heard settle into your body, because this isn't just theory, it's the beginning of a shift that can be felt. If something is awakening in you, if a part of you recognizes that this is what's been missing, then I want you to check the pinned comment. There's something there that speaks directly to this moment. A small key, but one that unlocks much more. Now, let's continue. Because the way you speak to yourself is not just shaping your mood, it's literally shaping what your brain sees as possible. Hidden within the structure of your brain is a filter that quietly determines what you notice, what you ignore, and ultimately, what you experience as reality. This filter is called the reticular activating system, or RAS. Though it operates in silence, it is constantly at work, scanning billions of sensory inputs and selecting only those that match your dominant self-concept. It is the reason you suddenly notice a certain car everywhere after thinking about buying it, or why a single phrase can catch your attention in a crowded room. The RAS is not just a mechanism of biology. It is the neurological gateway through which assumption becomes perception. Language is the key that directs this filter. When you declare, "I am a magnet for opportunities," your RAS begins to scan the environment for confirmation. You notice a new conversation, an invitation, an idea, a path you would have otherwise walked past without awareness. The words you repeat are not only shaping your inner dialogue, they are instructing the brain to bring forward evidence of their truth. And because your perception defines what feels possible, those words literally bend the edges of your reality. This explains why affirmations spoken with conviction begin to change experience. They are not magic formulas whispered into the void. They are commands issued to your own perception. When the phrase, "I am abundant," becomes a living assumption, your brain reorients itself to highlight proof of abundance even in small and subtle ways. What once felt hidden suddenly appears as coincidence, opportunity, or synchronicity. But in truth, it was always there. The filter simply did not allow you to see it. Think of the RAS as a loyal servant waiting for orders. It does not choose what to highlight. It responds to what you consistently affirm. If you speak from scarcity, "I never have enough," the filter faithfully gathers evidence to confirm lack. If you speak from wealth, "I always receive what I need," the filter gathers proof of flow. It cannot distinguish truth from falsehood. It only reflects the dominant voice you carry within. This is why Neville emphasized the creative power of words, and why science affirms it today. Every repetition is an instruction to the brain. Every statement is a lens shaping your field of awareness. Over time, these words not only influence perception, they influence decisions, actions, and habits. They create the very reality you believed you were only describing. The shift begins when you realize that language is not just expression, but direction. Each word spoken from identity is a seed dropped into the soil of your perception. The more it is nourished with feeling, the deeper it grows. And soon, what was once an invisible possibility becomes an undeniable experience. This is the true science of faith. Words aligned with being, guiding the brain to reveal the world that already exists for you. One of the most subtle traps in conscious creation is the language of tomorrow. You whisper to yourself, "I will be wealthy," believing that you are affirming abundance. Yet hidden inside those words is the very reason it never arrives. "I will" is always postponed. Tomorrow never comes, for the moment you inhabit is always now. By placing wealth in the future, you are unknowingly affirming distance. You are declaring separation, and the subconscious mind obeys without question, continuing to organize your life in such a way that wealth remains forever, just out of reach. Neville Goddard insisted that the key to manifestation is the present tense assumption, not hope, not waiting, but living from the end. To say "I am" is to bring the desire into being now. To say "I will" is to confess that you do not yet have it. The difference may seem small to the intellect, but to the subconscious it is everything. The subconscious does not think in terms of time. It only absorbs states of being. When you affirm "I am," you impress a state. When you affirm "I will," you confirm lack. Consider how often this language of delay has shaped your reality. Perhaps you've told yourself, "One day when I have enough, I'll feel at peace." Or, "When money finally comes, I'll allow myself to relax." Yet what happens? The day never feels like today. Peace remains conditional, tied to an imagined future that keeps receding as you approach it. The body continues to live in tension, the mind continues to rehearse lack, and wealth continues to feel like a horizon you can see but never touch. The way out is not by striving harder but by changing the tense of your being. When you speak, "I am wealthy," and allow the feeling to rise as if it were fact, you collapse the illusion of delay. The subconscious accepts it as present, and the nervous system begins to align with ease. Your breath deepens, your body loosens, your decisions shift subtly. You are no longer chasing a tomorrow, you are living a now. And this now, repeated, becomes the fabric of your reality. To live from the present is not to deny that appearances may still contradict you. It is to recognize that appearances are only reflections, and reflections change when the source changes. By speaking from the state of fulfillment, you instruct the source, your inner identity, to align with wealth. And as identity aligns, the reflection must follow. What once seemed like a distant promise becomes the present experience, because you dared to remove the word will and replace it with am. This is the sacred correction. To end the waiting game. To stop postponing your abundance into a horizon that never arrives. To inhabit the fullness of I am now, regardless of circumstance. For the brain follows the command of identity, not of hope. And when your language speaks only in the present tense of fulfillment, reality has no choice but to rearrange itself accordingly. Every identity is shaped by the sentences we silently repeat. And there is one sentence that carries the power to dissolve scarcity at its root. I am wealth in motion. These words bypass the mind's resistance because they shift the focus from possession to being. When you declare I have wealth, the subconscious may argue, pointing to the absence in your current circumstances. But when you embody I am wealth in motion, there is nothing for the mind to contest. You are not claiming an external possession, you are affirming an inner nature. Wealth in this view is not a static pile of money sitting in an account. It is not a destination to be reached after long struggle. It is a current, a flow, a river moving through and as you. Like water, it is not meant to be grasped, but expressed. By speaking I am wealth in motion, you awaken the truth that prosperity is not something you acquire. It is something you are. It is not stagnant, waiting to be proven. It is alive, circulating, expanding through every gesture, decision, and breath. This shift is profound because it eliminates resistance. The subconscious may resist the claim, I am rich, if your body still remembers poverty. But it cannot resist the claim that you are motion, expression, circulation. Energy is always in movement. Money itself is a form of energy, a symbol of exchange, never meant to remain still. By identifying with motion, you align naturally with flow. The nervous system relaxes, the body expands, and the words feel true the moment they are spoken. Feel the imagery behind it. A river does not ask whether it deserves to flow. It does not pause to calculate how much water is left. It simply moves, nourishing everything it touches, finding new paths when obstacles appear. To affirm I am wealth in motion is to become that river, never trapped, never lacking, never waiting. Even if today's flow is small, the current is alive, and currents grow by moving, not by clinging. Notice how different your body feels when this sentence rises within you. Scarcity contracts, freezes, and closes. Flow expands, moves, and opens. This is the reprogramming taking place. Each repetition strengthens the identity of movement, and soon your mind begins to see money not as something you chase, but as something that flows naturally through you. Opportunities, ideas, and resources follow the same principle of motion. They are drawn to the one who embodies circulation. This is why the sentence, I am wealth in motion, is more than affirmation. It is alignment with a universal law. Nothing is fixed. All is flow. When you live from this truth, scarcity loses its grip because you no longer seek wealth as an external rescue. You embody it as your eternal nature. And when you become wealth in motion, life cannot help but mirror that flow back to you. There is a hidden force in the brain that quietly shapes how you relate to money. It is the search for quick pleasure, governed by the neurotransmitter dopamine. This chemical is not evil. It is part of life's design, pushing us toward rewards and motivating us to act. Yet when it takes control without awareness, it traps you in cycles of chasing instead of creating. Many confuse this rush with manifestation itself. They believe that each small win or sudden sign means their abundance has arrived. But in truth, they are only feeding the craving for the next spike of excitement. Think of how this shows up in everyday choices. The thrill of a sudden purchase, the rush of gambling, of taking a financial risk, of imagining wealth coming overnight. The brain lights up, and for a brief moment it feels like freedom. But as soon as the high fades, the void returns. The subconscious, still programmed with scarcity, begins to whisper again, "It wasn't enough. You need more." This cycle mirrors addiction, where the promise of satisfaction always lies just beyond the next impulse. And so the chase continues, leaving true abundance farther away than before. Manifestation is not meant to be fueled by these temporary highs. If your vision of wealth is tied only to the rush of receiving, then your state collapses as soon as appearances contradict you. But if your vision is anchored in identity, in the steady knowing of who you are, then no external fluctuation can shake you. To embody wealth now is to step out of the dopamine trap. It is to stop rewarding yourself for chasing results, and to begin rewarding yourself for living from being. Notice the difference. When you feel wealthy in your body, before the evidence appears, your nervous system relaxes, the breath slows, a quiet confidence rises. This is not the fleeting pleasure of dopamine. It is the lasting power of identity. The body is no longer seeking a fix. It is resting in truth. And from that place of calm certainty, decisions about money become clearer, wiser, more aligned with long-term flow rather than short-term highs. This shift is essential. Instead of craving the thrill of proof, you begin to anchor pleasure in the state itself. The reward is not a deposit in your account. It is the steady recognition that you are abundance expressing itself. Over time, the brain learns to find joy not in the chase, but in the being. And when the joy of being becomes the reward, manifestation stops being a pursuit and becomes a reflection. The outer world mirrors the inner wealth you already celebrate. This is how you reclaim your power from dopamine. By no longer letting your brain's craving for fast wins dictate your state, you return to sovereignty. You become steady, consistent, reliable in your vibration. Wealth ceases to be a gamble and becomes a natural outcome of identity. And in that shift, money is no longer an intoxicating drug. It is a loyal servant of the state you already live. For many, the arrival of a bill is a moment of dread. The envelope, the email, the notification on the phone. It feels like a reminder of lack, a weight pulling you back into fear. Yet what if this moment, instead of being a symbol of scarcity, could become a sacred trigger for abundance? What if every bill arriving in your life was not proof of emptiness, but proof of trust? When a bill comes, it means that someone, somewhere, has already extended value to you. Electricity flowed into your home before payment. Water reached your tap before you were charged. Goods and services were placed in your hands before you returned the exchange. Bills are not debts. They are acknowledgments of circulation. This shift in perception changes everything. When you look at a bill and see it as evidence that life trusted you with value first, fear dissolves. You realize you are not being punished. You are participating in flow. Money moves like breath. It comes in and goes out, not to leave you empty, but to keep you alive within a greater rhythm. Every time you send money out, you are completing a cycle, and every cycle that closes is the invitation for another to begin. Scarcity sees the outflow as loss. Abundance sees it as movement. When you affirm within yourself that money circulates back multiplied, you are not just comforting your mind, you are instructing your subconscious to reinterpret reality. Each payment becomes a declaration. I am part of the infinite exchange of wealth. What I release returns to me in greater measure. The nervous system relaxes, the body opens, and the act of paying ceases to be a wound. It becomes an act of gratitude, a celebration of the current that already includes you. Imagine holding a bill in your hands, and instead of tensing, you breathe deeply and smile. Not because you are ignoring responsibility, but because you understand what it represents. You already received value. You already participated in abundance. The payment is simply the continuation of that dance. In that moment, your vibration shifts from contraction to expansion, from fear to trust. And when trust becomes the state, the outer flow of money aligns to it. Over time, this practice transforms your relationship with finances. No longer do you shrink when bills appear. Instead, you use them as reminders to affirm your role in the circulation of wealth. What once drained you becomes what replenishes you. Because your state has changed. The bill is no longer a threat. It is a signpost reminding you that you are already in motion with prosperity. And as you honor that motion, money honors you by flowing back in ways you could not predict, but always in harmony with the state you now embody. Many people believe they are manifesting money when in truth they are only chasing paper. They place all of their focus on the number in the account, the stack of bills, the symbol of currency. Yet Neville Goddard taught that every desire is symbolic. When you desire money, you are never desiring the notes themselves. You are desiring what you believe they give you. Freedom, recognition, security, joy. The mistake is in worshiping the symbol while forgetting the state it represents. When the pursuit is only for money, frustration becomes inevitable. You chase numbers that seem to run faster than you can catch them. You earn, but it never feels like enough. You reach a milestone, but the void remains. This is because the deeper desire was never acknowledged. The money was only a mask, pointing toward a state your soul longs to inhabit. You think you want wealth, but what you truly want is the peace of knowing you are safe, the power of knowing you are capable, the joy of knowing you are free. Ask yourself with honesty, what is it that money truly represents for you? Is it the relief of no longer counting every dollar? Is it the dignity of standing tall without fear of rejection? Is it the joy of offering generosity without hesitation? When you touch the true state beneath the symbol, you uncover the key. For states can be assumed now. You do not need to wait for the number to rise before you feel secure. You do not need to wait for external proof before you walk in dignity. You can embody the state today, and when the state is alive, the symbol cannot help but follow. Neville called this living from the end. It means choosing the state directly, rather than chasing the form that seems to represent it. If you desire freedom, then step into freedom in your inner world. If you desire peace, then allow your breath to expand into peace now. If you desire recognition, see yourself already acknowledged in the quiet theater of imagination. As these states root themselves within you, your subconscious begins to align your actions, perceptions, and opportunities with them. The money then comes as reflection, not as savior. This is the liberation from the fatal error. Money ceases to be a master you serve and becomes a servant of your state. You no longer worship the symbol. You live in the essence. And the paradox is this: when you stop manifesting for money alone, money flows with more ease than ever before. For you are no longer vibrating with desperation. You are vibrating with the very states money was always meant to mirror. And in that alignment, abundance becomes natural, inevitable, and deeply fulfilling. You cannot sustain a reality that contradicts your self-image. Neville Goddard taught that we do not manifest what we want. We manifest who we assume ourselves to be. To live abundantly, you must first feel like someone who no longer questions abundance. This feeling must become natural, not theatrical. Instead of visualizing extreme wealth, see yourself in ordinary scenes, sitting at a cafe, calmly paying bills, choosing what you desire without hesitation. These aren't fantasies. They are scripts for your nervous system. The more often you rehearse them with emotion, the more the body accepts this version of you as real. Your subconscious does not respond to what is impressive. It responds to what feels consistent. So when you fall asleep, embody this calm, fulfilled self. See through their eyes. Breathe their breath. Walk through a life where money is never a concern, not because you've earned millions, but because you've become someone who expects abundance. The shift happens when wealth stops feeling like a goal and starts feeling like home. With time, your outer world will catch up to the inner identity you've already normalized. Gratitude is not a request. It's recognition. When felt from the end, it affirms the desire is already fulfilled. You're no longer asking, you're confirming. This is the quiet power that seals the state of abundance. Gratitude, when pure, doesn't attract more. It reveals that nothing is missing. Your reality follows identity, not numbers. Speak from I am, not hope. Train the brain to believe wealth is now, and life will reflect what you already embody as true.